Get your towers up. Get your towers up. Still a nation and roll it around your head.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Towers Up podcast. We appreciate y'all tuning in. We got everybody back in the building. What's going on, fellas? Al and JJ?
What's
What
going
up?
on?
Good, good. Everybody's doing good. We also got special guests. If y'all see, we got a new guest on the show today. He goes by the name of Kevin, and it's called the Muse Sports, right?
The Sports Muse,
The
yeah.
Sports Muse. My bad. So yeah, go. You can introduce yourself and your show real quick.
Yeah, man. I found these guys on YouTube. I enjoyed their content, so definitely drop a like and subscribe to their show. They're dropping some knowledge on you, and I run a little show called the Sports Muse. I've had Levon Kirkland on the show, Bruce Gradkowski on the show. I interview high school athletes. I'm just trying to do my part, man, and I
Yeah.
just want to talk some sports. Let's go.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man, that's cool. So he's gonna join us today. We're gonna talk a little, quarantine, coming out of the quarantine, and some COVID-19 stuff. Now that the teams are getting back, the Steelers are getting back in the facility. So we're gonna talk about the impact that may have on the season or the players getting prepared, and we may also talk a little bit Antonio Brown. Just kind of how he left the Steelers. That's something that we've been kind of tossing around. So we're gonna jump right into it, and I start with JJ, man. What you think about just how the whole COVID thing has impacted the offseason and the teams not being able to get together due to normal what is it, the offseason workouts with the team and the rookies coming
Right.
in. It's going to be a lot. So what's your thoughts on how it may impact the season as a whole?
I think. Well, I mean, for the Steelers, I think. I don't think it's going to impact the Steelers as much. 'Cause I think we have a lot of veterans on the team. We kind of don't have a lot of new pieces. If you look at the guys we brought in last year, a lot of them were free agents last year, and this is their second year playing with us. But if you look at the overall scale of the team, we have a lot of veterans, a lot of guys that have been here for a couple of years now. Also, we have a veteran coaching staff and a veteran head coach. So I think that's more than anything this year. That's going to pay big dividend this year. With the COVID-19 going on, and so I feel bad for a lot of the new coaches like the Browns,
Yeah,
the Giants, who have a lot of new coaches who can't really get that chemistry with the players, and chemistry with the coaches and things like that is going to be hard for them because now they're going to be meeting new people and meeting their teams for the first time in training camp,
yeah, right.
and that's going to be crazy. Whereas you got these veteran teams that, are already used to each other, know how the coaches are, know how the players are, and now it's just about getting some of the rookies in that they drafted. So I think it's going to be a pretty good transition and pretty easy transition for the Steelers. But it's still going to be a little hard in some areas. They may turn down the preseason games to only two, so we may not even
Yeah.
be able to play in the Hall of Fame game. But I think overall, it should be easy transition for the more veteran teams like the Steelers and some other teams in the NFL.
Yeah, that's a good point. What you think, Al?
Yeah, pretty much. That's a good point there. I think it's going to affect not just us in that way, but a lot of other teams as well. So I mean, a lot of teams are going to have to like learn how to gel quickly because they haven't seen each other or been around each other. And football, man, that's part of the whole winning spirit, man. Is being around the guys and practicing and working out together, and to not be able to do that is going to just really require teams to do that quickly when they're able to get together again. And whoever does that the fastest, well, they're going to be all right. And
Yeah.
I think with the positives on our team, I think guys will be willing to do that pretty quickly, to get to know each other quickly and get things going to off to a good start, knowing that we have a pretty good team and have a chance to legitimately get to a championship game this year. So
Yeah. What about you, Kev? What's your thoughts, man? You up there in PA, so what you think?
Yeah, so it's interesting because the idea is, it's always nice to have veterans on the team, but I don't even know if it's so much of a veteran thing as much as what you guys were alluding to is the chemistry standpoint. Look at Tampa Bay as a good example. You're taking the greatest quarterback of all time,
Right.
but you're putting him in a new system with new receivers.
mhm.
And that idea is, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and all that stuff. That's a ton of talent, but it's going to take time to get them on the same page. But you turn it back to Pittsburgh, you're bringing back a quarterback that's been there for what, 15 plus years,
Yeah.
the same coach, and all the important positions, you're bringing back the same band. And you look at our draft compared to other teams. Yeah, we didn't have the first round pick. But with that being said, is we have no one that's behind schedule. You look at someone like the Dolphins, who got a ton of talent in this draft, but all those guys are behind the learning curve already, and it's already tough in the NFL to play as a rookie. So
Right.
now that you take off, the rookie camp, you take off a lot of OTAs. It makes it really difficult for that adjustment period. But Pittsburgh, the only really difference is going to be you're going to have a new left guard because of Ramon Foster retiring. But we have people that have been on the team that understand the system. We have veterans that can step into there. But everything else, we're going to come back stronger, man, because it is those same guys. Devin Bush now has a year underneath his belt. Minka Fitzpatrick's going to have this entire offseason to study the playbook. I feel like of all teams, I feel like Pittsburgh's in that, that 10% that this really shouldn't affect a whole lot. And if anything, it might benefit them to get a little
Right.
bit more of a
Get
rest.
some more rest. Yeah, I was going to say that too. I think it might help them. I think at the end of the day, I mean, it's like Tomlin always says. I mean, it's going to be a fair playing field in the sense of no team is getting a head start on anybody, and it's not like any team could start before another team could or anything like that. So that's going to be the most interesting part. I think as a whole, just in the NFL, the football is going to look different. Especially the first part. I think the first half of the season is going to look, it may look a little janky football wise because these guys haven't been playing like that. It's one thing to work out, it's one thing to stay in shape, but it's another thing to actually play the game. And
Gotcha. Practice.
yeah, in practice, and I mean, it's looking like training camps may start on time. They got these new protocols and stuff out, but even I think Harbaugh came out and already was saying, it's going to be hard to implement these protocols and play football at the same time. So,
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
there's just a whole bunch of adjustment, man. But as far as the Steelers are concerned, I kind of agree with you guys. They with that veteran team coming back and just a veteran staff and those guys, being knowing each other and being together. I think that they'll have an easier time adjusting, but it's really going to turn into which team, like Al said, which teams can adjust fastest and kind of get into the swing of things the quickest is going to determine how this football season is going to go. Because I mean, yeah, like you said, Kev, you got Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, but if you ain't got time to play with the receivers and play some balls, throw some balls at them
Right.
and play some games,
Right.
how good you really might be. But Tom Brady's getting
Right.
old, so
Then they
Right.
gotta. Then Tom Brady gotta learn a whole new playbook at that.
right,
So
Absolutely.
anybody knows who plays football, it's not easy to come into a new team and learn a playbook. That is not
no,
easy.
nope. So yeah, that's interesting, man. So I mean, I don't know if there's any more thoughts on that. Anybody want to chime in on that again?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I think we'll have an advantage. I think the Steelers will definitely have an advantage just because of how we've drafted recently and how we're looking for this next season coming up with Ben coming back. There's so many things to feel good about with this squad this year, man. So we're going to have an advantage on gelling quickly versus other teams that they're still trying to get together. So that's gonna put us ahead a little bit.
yeah,
And I just, turn the focus a little bit is, we talk about the success of Pittsburgh or how this will help or hurt them. But, you got to look at the team as far as we're getting a Hall of Fame quarterback back at the helm. We're no
Exactly.
longer
yeah,
playing with Duck Hodges.
Right.
for real.
I talked about Minka's no longer learning the playbook as he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
He's going
Right.
to understand the playbook.
Mhm.
Bush is going to know the playbook, and plus he's going to be a year stronger and faster.
Yes.
And I think those things are going to help so much. And we forget that we didn't have a Pro Bowl defensive end most of the season, and to it,
Right.
that's one of those ones that flew under the radar. I think
Yeah,
people outside of the Pittsburgh area sleep on how
Oh yeah.
impactful Tuitt is. Now that Tuitt's back, Cam Hayward, I mean, that defense got stronger. Think about how good that defense was. Now they're going to be better. And with, we talked off air, is Ben Roethlisberger doesn't have to come back and be the Ben Roethlisberger that we saw lead the league in passing. That Ben
Right.
Roethlisberger doesn't have to be back.
Right, that's
Right.
right.
Ben Roethlisberger can throw the ball 25, 30 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was talking to Bruce Gradkowski, and I expect Pittsburgh to run a lot more 12 personnel. With the
Mhm.
addition of Eric Ebron and Vance McDonald, because Vance
Mhm.
McDonald flourished with Ben.
Yeah.
Expect with
he
us
did.
getting McFadden, with Connor, with Snell, with Samuels, with that kind of stuff. Is I think we're going to run the ball, and I think those, I think Al said it. The first few weeks are going to be kind of down and dirty football,
Mhm.
kind of slow. And defense is going to take away those games. It's going to be
Yeah.
who makes less mistakes
That's
more than
right.
who makes more plays.
Mm-hmm.
And Pittsburgh being a veteran, having that fantastic, probably the best defense in the league, to be honest.
Yeah, they're going to be
That's
flying
gonna
all
help
over the place.
Yeah, they'll be good. Yeah, so
Terrell
to
Edmonds,
Kevin,
Edmonds has gotten a lot better just playing around Fitzpatrick, you know?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, they're getting
Right,
good.
and to Kevin's point, to Kevin's point, this is the first year in a long time that we've had the same secondary from to back years.
Yeah, true.
You know, that's the first time that's happened in a long time.
In a
You know
while,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
So that's a big step in the right direction in terms of getting in terms of COVID-19 and how this is going to affect the season.
And here's the thing: anytime you take a veteran quarterback who has been to Super Bowls, have won Super Bowls, and you give this guy a good defense, that
Right.
formula always has a chance to go to the Super Bowl. You see what I'm saying? A veteran quarterback who's been to Super
Right.
Bowls, he's won Super Bowls, he's been playing this game forever. You give him a good defense, a 1 or 2 or 3rd ranked defense, that
Right.
team, that particular team, whoever they are, have a chance to go to the Super Bowl in this league.
Yeah,
Right, because
Right.
here's the thing: you don't need Ben to do much.
No,
Right.
he just has to
You don't
manage the
need-
game.
yeah. Don't make
Right.
mistakes. Don't.
Right.
Ben can just play beach football with his family, man, and manage the game, man, and we'll win the Super Bowl with a defense like that.
And the great thing is, if the
And
game
don't get
does get
hurt.
out of control, the defense makes a few mistakes, Ben has the ability to throw for 400 or 500 yards. Like, he has
Yeah.
that ability.
That's right.
But I don't think we're going to need it this coming year, which is a great feeling. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
great. We talked about when we had Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, we had that high-powered offense. Well, if Ben didn't hang 30, we were probably going to lose because every game was a shootout.
Yeah.
We couldn't stop
Exactly.
anything. Which kind of brings me to a point. Who's a guy, we'll go around. Who's a guy that you think is going to break out for Pittsburgh that maybe a lot of the people aren't aware of, but who's a breakout candidate you guys think?
I hope it's McFarland.
Yeah,
If McFarland break out like Willie did,
yeah.
we going back to the Super Bowl, baby. With Ben, another Willie Parker, and a good defense. that's
Ben,
a wrap.
like I like to say, man, Ben gotta stay healthy, man. So I gotta think about this player though. But go ahead, JJ. Who you think, man? I gotta think about this.
A breakout player, man. Are you? Is it in terms of just like first year, second year, or just?
It could be anybody that maybe the general public's sleeping on, or they, a guy who's going to really step up and really grab this season by the horns.
All right, man. I think a breakout player. Man, maybe Deontay Johnson. Maybe I think a lot of people are sleeping on him outside of Pittsburgh.
I like to see him do something. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
When you see a lot of the analysts and a lot of some of these so-called analysts on TV, talk about some of the rookie or wide receivers last year, they don't mention Deontay Johnson a lot, and I think this guy had the most receptions out of all the rookies last year. So I mean, and when you watch this play, man, I mean the way he's able to get separation is almost Antonio Brown like. And I feel like, man, he has the opportunity to maybe be a number 1 wide receiver this year because I feel like he has more of the capabilities of being that more so than Juju. I may be in the minority on that, but that's just me. I feel like Deontay Johnson has more of the capabilities to be that type of wide receiver this year, especially with Ben coming back. We may see that.
That was
Well,
nice.
To kind of add on that is, something I've been really hitting the table about and trying to speak up about is Deontay Johnson brings something different to that wide receiver core that no other Steeler does. You look
Right.
at James Washington, you look at Claypool, and you look at Juju. They're all big, physical wide receivers. Deontay is quick.
Speed.
He can run routes. He's got
Mhm.
speed, and he brings something different to the table. So I think he's going to be a real big playmaker for that Pittsburgh offense. I mean, you might see them line up in a bunch formation with like a Vance McDonald and a Juju up front. Throw a little screen, and he can take that to the house because those dudes are going to wreck.
Yeah, they're gonna block. Yeah, they're gonna
Right.
rough him
Yeah.
up.
A guy who Deontay Johnson would be my guy that I think is going to blow up this year. But a guy I think the general public's not aware of how great he is right now is Steven Nelson, man.
Steven Nelson,
was by PFF was one of the great, best corners in the league last year. And I don't think the general public realizes it yet, but man, when you got Minka playing center field, you got Joe Hayden on one side and Steven Nelson on the other.
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead and hold on to the ball and let Bud Dupree, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt,
Work.
blow you up. Good luck. Have fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I'm not gonna say breakout player because he's known, but as much as I ride his back, man, he might be the comeback player of the year next year.
Big Ben.
Big Ben, man, he might. I
Big
think
Ben.
he might break out if he stay. Listen, man, if Ben stay healthy for 16 games, man, because Ben, I think we all know Ben tried to compare himself or try to liken himself to Tom Brady. He wants to always stay in that kind of space or try to be in that space. He's not there, but he wants to be, and I feel like he has to. This season is his season to prove that. Hey, listen, I am one of the best quarterbacks ever to play, not only in Pittsburgh but in the NFL. And I think that's what kind of mindset he's gonna have coming back fresh and healthy. And so I think comeback player of the year. And I kind of like agree with Unc as far as a breakout player. Man, it'd be great to have a breakout running back like McFarland break out, or any of the running backs really. Let them break out with the line and do well. But as much as I ride Ben and call him old and washed up, if he stays healthy, I think he can definitely be comeback player of the year and be one of the best players.
Right.
And,
And we all know Ben's a tough cookie, man. I
Yeah.
mean, whenever he's gotten hurt, he might come back in the game or something.
Yeah.
He missed some games. He'll be back in like week number, I don't know, might miss 2 games or something. But, we never had Ben out for a whole season, I don't think. I don't know. Until
last season.
year.
Yeah, last year.
Last year. I'm just saying last year, that was just some weird thing that happened. But as far as like regular football hits and stuff, I mean, he can take some stuff. So I don't want him to have to take it no more, though, because he gets
Right,
old.
exactly.
But, I mean, he's not a fragile guy where we have to worry about that. As long as don't nothing else pop.
Right, I'm telling you.
You know what I'm saying?
Start getting old.
Fans need to just stay put this year.
Hey, stuff pop when you get older,
I'd
man.
rather him take a hit. I'd rather Ben get hit. You know what I'm saying? He used to that. He'll get up, But when stuff popping, just because you threw the ball,
I'm telling you,
we don't want that happening
It's
anymore.
not good. That's when you need to go sit down, man. I'm trying to tell you. I know from experience.
Right. And to Kev's point about Steven Nelson, man, I think a lot of people, including Steelers fans, didn't expect him to come in and be that good, right? I mean, when you look, even when you look at the reports and hear about things, the Steelers tried to go after Bradley Roby first, and Bradley Roby, didn't want to come. He wanted to, go on a, get. I think he wanted a longer term deal, or he wanted to. I know it was he wanted a 1-year deal. He wanted to bet on himself, and the Steelers didn't really want that. The Steelers wanted, like a 2-year, 3-year type of deal. So Steven Nelson was actually the second option. And then when you looked at Steven Nelson in Kansas City, I mean, they were getting their defense, that year prior was getting tore up. I mean, they were getting killed, and so people didn't know what to expect from Steven Nelson. And so when he comes in and he's balling like that, I think he only gave up like 1 touchdown last year. I think that was to Odell Beckham on that Thursday night football game. Man, that was a bad game, but we're not going to talk about that. But Steven Nelson, I mean, when you look at his play last year, I mean, he really stacked up with some of the best corners in the league. And, man, if he can improve on that, man, we may have a guy for Steelers for a long time.
He was quietly shutting them down over there, wasn't he? All year.
Right,
yeah. I remember him popping up every now and again. I was like, that corner might be all right over the other side over there, Nelson. And like you said, Hayden and then Fitzpatrick on top, man. That's dangerous, man. You don't even want to throw the football out there.
These guys have a chance to make a name for themselves this year. This defense. I'm saying the individual names. This team can make a run.
So I feel like corner more than any other position. The less you hear about them, probably the better news.
Yeah, the better.
Exactly.
When I'm only hearing Steven Nelson's name like once a game, that's probably a good thing.
Right.
Yeah, because he ain't getting beat for touchdowns.
Right. Quietly doing his job.
Another guy who doesn't get a ton of love for Pittsburgh that, like, I don't know why, but he's one of my favorite players on Pittsburgh. I love Mike Hilton.
I like Mike.
Yeah, he like Mike. I like Mike Hilton big time.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Hilton's just one of those dudes who, like, he's not going to light up the stat sheet. He's not going to end the season with 6 picks. He's just one of those dudes who makes plays. You know what I mean? He blitzes off the corner. He, might not get the sack, but he hurries the quarterback. He might not get the pick, but he's there and close enough coverage. When he's your nickel back, man, like Pittsburgh is.
Good shape.
I hope I'm not wrong, man, but I honestly think the Steeler defense might be like that 08, 09 defense. They have that capability.
Right, and speaking of Mike Hilton, man, it might be a shame that this year might be his last year, man. Because he did just sign that that second round tender, free agent tender, or something like that. I think it was yesterday. So this may be one of the last years that we may see this team be a really good team, because 2021 is going to be crazy with a lot of teams on their last year.
I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. How many signings do we have to do on defense after this season?
I know Mike Hilton is coming up. I think this is going to be his last year. I mean, his last.
His
last year
backup
on his
Cam
deal.
Sutton. His
Right,
backup Cam
right,
Sutton's also a free agent.
right. Cam Sutton
Cam
too.
Sutton. Oh gosh, we
Uh,
forgot about him.
Right, you got Bud Dupree, you got Alejandro Villanueva, you got Matt Filer, you have who else is there? Juju, James Conner, a lot of guys. I mean, there's a lot of guys.
And that's why they couldn't give Le'Veon all that money, man. That's why they didn't want to do it. They was like, we can't give Le'Veon Bell all this money because then we ain't gonna have no money,
Right,
come 21 to sign the people that really matter or that matter. But I mean, being to be off the
Right.
books, speaking of people that matter, Antonio Brown used to matter. You know what I mean? He used to matter for Pittsburgh. He used to make a lot of plays, man. And I know we discussed him on the previous show, just kind of touched it a little bit. But today, I kind of just, before we end, just kind of go around the table, man, and just kind of get y'all's thoughts on the whole situation, like Antonio Brown's whole situation with Pittsburgh from the time he got there, how he came on the scene, made plays, and then left out of here, man. For me, I liked Antonio Brown until he got the big head, and the way he made plays. There's no discussion on how his impact on the field. Best receiver in the league, no doubt about it when he was playing. But how he left the Steelers and the way, I don't know if it was all Steelers. I know the Steelers probably didn't do some things all the way right, and I know Antonio Brown didn't do things all the way right. But I thought it could have been a little bit more respectful with that whole situation, how he got out of Pittsburgh, and they might have could even stayed in Pittsburgh. I think they could have worked it out, man, if they just would have sat down like some grown people and talked it out. But that was like Uncle always says, that was some wasted years, man. I mean, those years with Ben were putting up 40 with Brown. We probably could have got to a Super Bowl or two at least. So what y'all, let's go around, man. What y'all think, man? We'll start with Al. What you got, man, on that whole situation?
We at least show up for a Super Bowl. We would have been Ben would have been at worst case 2-2, right?
Yeah,
It's 2-1, right?
Right, exactly.
So, the Brown thing, man, that was unfortunate, man. I just think that money can really get to people's heads, man. And they think they're invincible when they start making that money. I think he should have at least talked to Tomlin. I mean, you can't not talk to the coach. You know what I mean? When you're not calling him and not coming to practice, and you done treated him like the rest of everybody else, you don't have anybody on your side.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be here. That's the part he's not understanding. Like you're not required to be here, right? So they can get rid of you.
Right.
And so you can't worship the cash that you're getting and diss everybody else. No, you biting the hand that feeds you. Fool.
Right.
Don't
Exactly.
do that. So I don't know. His advisors must have been terrible people to talk to. Did nobody talk to him about these things? About, hey man, look at what's in front of you here.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know who he was getting his advice from, but the whole camp should be ashamed of themselves because where he's ending up now. He kissed away $30 million. If he had been quiet for 4 more days, he'd have got $30 million from Oakland guaranteed.
Right.
And you can't shut up.
Right.
You can't shut up for how many hours is that? About 128 hours or something. I don't know.
Man.
So it's just I don't know. I hope he hasn't injured himself. I hope he hasn't gotten hit in the head. And did he start changing all of a sudden?
Yeah, mental illness or something.
It could have been like a hit along with the signing. They happened at the same time, and now we're blaming it on the money. I just wish him well, man. I hate that he did it to himself. I was shaking my head the whole time all this stuff was going on, especially in Oakland. I'm like,
my God.
You about to blow it in Oakland, dude? I mean, come on, man. Y'all going to Vegas, cuz you're going to be
right.
You're going to be like the man down there. They gonna have you on billboards. You're going to be making all this money.
In Vegas. Wow.
In Vegas. And he blew it. And he blew it. Went to the Patriots or something. I don't know. He knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to go everywhere, and now he's nowhere. Last time I saw him, he was sitting in court or something.
Yeah.
One of those court jackets on or something like that.
Yeah. Trying
to
fight off
about him. Yeah, I haven't read about it lately. I think it was about that moving truck situation.
Yeah, I think he was fighting off a sexual allegation too that had came up, but we hadn't heard much about that since though. But
for me, man, AB, I think it's a shame what happened, but I think with AB, man, I think it was just one of those situations where, you look at him and he was a 6th round pick, right? So coming in, nobody expected anything from him, and so we all know AB's a hard worker, so he worked hard to get to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And so when you have somebody like Mike Wallace and Emmanuel Sanders, guys who were drafted higher than you, who the Steelers tried to pay before you, and you surpassed them and surpassed every other wide receiver in the league to be the best, you're gonna have this big ego and this big monkey on your back that you had off your shoulders now. And so now I think what it was for me that I think that was, unfortunately happened to AB. He thought that the NFL needed him, and I
Yeah.
think that was the wrong idea.
That's
Right?
exactly what he thought.
He thought the NFL needed him, and that the NFL wasn't going to prosper without him. And little did he know the NFL was here before him and it's going to be here after him.
Right.
And
That's right.
and I think that he regrets it, and I think you can tell he regrets it because he's on social media with Deion Sanders working out, posting workout videos every day, trying to show that I can still play. But it's like, man, you're kind of too late because now you're what, about to be 32,
Yeah.
and after what you done did in the league to 3 different teams, it's kind of going to be hard for you to
Yeah.
come back into the league, especially at that age.
Right.
With
And
all
and
these
get
new young
paid.
wide receivers, right, and get paid. With all these new young wide receivers coming in, it would, I don't see it. I don't see it happening, and it's a shame.
Brown could have been. Go ahead.
Right, and I think he just kind of regret, and I think when he'll look back on it, as he gets older, about how good he had it in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He probably
Yeah.
he probably sees some of it now, but he'll definitely regret it and look back on it as he gets older and reflects. But I think he's for sure, maybe, I don't know about a first ballot Hall of Famer because you know how the Hall of Famer voters do. Just look
Yeah.
at Terrell Owens, but
Yeah.
I think he's for sure a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
about-
I was gonna say he could have been one of the greatest ever, man.
Yeah.
To play the game, man. If he'd have just kept playing,
kept
he
playing.
was like one of the greatest people we ever seen. Like he's like a video game when you watch Antonio Brown play.
For real. So what you
It's just sad, but go ahead.
What you think, Ken? What you think about that situation, man?
It's so tough, man. It really is unfortunate. So with that being said, is think about, let me switch the focus a little bit. Is think about how great of a job Mike Tomlin did.
Oh yeah.
Mike Tomlin kept this under wraps for a long time. And it goes back to, you're going, because I was on the side of thinking Antonio Brown changed late in his tenure in Pittsburgh. But maybe that wasn't true because Ryan Clark came out and said as soon as AB got Mike Wallace's money, he was like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
they're in trouble. And that kind of shows a lot about AB's character. And it's the idea when Brady went to Tampa Bay, he tried to get AB in Tampa Bay, but Bruce Arians was like, no, we're not dealing with the headache.
Right.
And again, we're talking about the best receiver in football.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when teams are going, nah, man, you ain't worth the headache, that's the problem here. And it really is sad because I honestly don't know a Pittsburgh fan who didn't love AB. And I'm on the side of going, I'm fine with prima donnas. Like I was a receiver in high school, and I studied the receiver position a ton. And when it was Randy Moss or when it was Terrell Owens or anything like that, I don't care, man. Part of playing receiver is you want the ball, you demand the ball, you need the ball.
Gotta
and
have
when
it.
he came out in Jacksonville and flipped the water cooler, and people were like, "Oh, he's being ridiculous." That's part of the game, man. Because when he was wide open that play and he was pissed he didn't get the ball. I get it. I would do the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? But am I saying it's the most professional thing to do? No. But is it part of the position? Yes. That's not the thing. But the idea of him just doing the crazy stuff and then he just wouldn't drop it. Listen, man, I'll pound the table all day. I love Ben Roethlisberger. He's one of my favorite Steelers of all time. But is Ben Roethlisberger a great person or a great leader? The answer is no. He threw Antonio Brown under the bus. It was uncalled for what he did against Denver. He threw a pick to a defensive lineman and then blamed it on Antonio Brown. Like, bro, you threw a pick to a defensive tackle. That's not on AB.
And then, not to cut you off, if you remember, he said he should have went 4 times to Juju. Remember that?
Yeah.
That doesn't help things.
No.
It's that kind of thing of going like, with Antonio Brown being a hothead, with him being a prima donna, with him, it sounds like he did some stuff at Central Michigan that wasn't great either.
Right.
Tomlin did a great job of keeping it under wraps, and it seemed like that whole Denver thing is what really put the icing on the cake. It pushed Antonio over the top, and I mean, he lost his damn mind. Like, let's be honest, he lost his mind.
Crazy.
It's sad, man, and I wish it weren't that. Even when he went to Oakland, I was like, I still hope Antonio Brown balls out because I liked Antonio Brown.
Oh, me too. I was gonna buy an Oakland jersey or something. I don't know, Browns jersey.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's tough, man, and hopefully for his sake, whether it's not in the league or not, hopefully he gets his life straight, and he stops spiraling out of control.
I'm telling you.
But I agree with what JJ said, as I think he'll look back at this when he's a little bit older, a little bit more mature, and just regret it, because you know he pissed away a lot of money, and he really honestly had the chance to have his name next to Rice and Moss. He really did.
For real. Like to some of the greats, man. Like you said, I play receiver too, man, and I understand the position very well. And yes, that comes with it, man. There is like a diva, mentality at that position for most receivers, not all, but most. You want the ball, you're out there one-on-one. That's your show. When the ball's in the air, you got to think about it as a receiver. When the ball's in the air, it's just you and the DB and the ball. Everybody's looking at you. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what I think that's where that comes from. You're on the stage. You know what I mean? It's not like the lineman and the defense where you're playing as a unit. But once that ball's in the air, it's just you and the DB, and you start making plays, you're in the open field. It's just like we saw Antonio Brown. I mean, we saw Antonio Brown break people's ankles, break away from, get that separation and break away and run away from people, man. I mean, it was just amazing to watch. But, unfortunately, like you said, I don't think he did the right things with his opportunity, man. That's unfortunate. But, either way, we're getting ready to shut it down, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Once again, like and subscribe. Y'all make sure y'all hit my man Kevin up on the Muse Sports, right? Is that
Sports Muse?
Sports Muse. I got it backwards again. The Sports Muse. Y'all hit him up. Get your Towers Up podcast. We may have him back on a little later. Y'all let us know if y'all enjoyed it. Like and subscribe and share. And until next time, next week, we'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Peace out. Get your towels up, baby.
Get your towels up. Steal the nation and pull it around your head. Get your towels up. Get your terrible towels up. Steal the diamonds. Yellow, blue, and red. Coming at you hard like Harrison on the blitz. Palu Malu style. You can call it a pick. Lombardi trophies.